Vanadium is a very rare metal used in the steel, aerospace, and energy storage industries. It's caught a lot of interest from investors lately, and it's performing well. Canada-based mineral company Largo Resources has a project in Brazil that contains some of the highest grades of vanadium deposits in the world, and they just received approval for listing common shares on the Toronto Stock Exchange yesterday. I'm joined now by Largo Resources CEO and President Mark Smith. Thanks for coming into the studio to talk to us today, and I guess congratulations first of all on graduating from the Venture Exchange to the TSX.
Thank you for having us, and yes, it's a pretty exciting time for the company across the border. I mean, it's just amazing right now.
So what does accessing that larger market through the TSX mean for the company?
You know, it means that we have way more resources that we can tap into internationally for investment purposes. It gives us much better liquidity of our stock itself. So there's so many benefits. I'll add one more that a lot of people might find surprising. I like the extra controls that the TSX requires of our company because it makes us demonstrate to our shareholders what honesty and trustworthiness that this company brings to the table every day.
It's obviously always a big issue for mining companies, especially smaller mining companies in Canada. For viewers who are not familiar with vanadium, don't know that much about it, where is it found? We talked a little bit about what it's used for, but tell us about this property.
You know, vanadium is not found very often, which is why there's so few mines in the world today. And there's really only 4 areas in the world that produce vanadium. China is the largest producer at about 53% of world production. You've got South Africa that produces probably about 20% of the world's production. And you've got Russia that's probably 15 to 20%. And then you have Brazil. And we're the one that is growing, obviously the fastest right now, but it's pretty rare to find the mineral in an economically enough, high enough ore grade to warrant extraction and all the metallurgy that's required with it.
I was reading, though, that you also have interest in a big project in the Yukon, in Canada's north, which was not on those list of countries where vanadium is found. What's that about?
Well, that is a tungsten and molybdenum project. It's called Northern Dancer
all the rare
Project.
Earth metals.
Well, we like those rare, exotic type metals. That's a good place to be.
The steel market has been hit very hard by oversupply. Obviously, China's been a big part of that. How does that affect vanadium, since one of its purposes is to strengthen steel? Yeah,
it's a very interesting question, and one that I love to answer, by the way, because I couldn't agree more. The steel industry is kind of a laggard right now. But the specialty steel industry is actually where the growth is in the steel industry. Vanadium goes into the specialty steels that are manufactured in the world today. We are right where we want to be. And the other way to think about vanadium is rebar. So every time that you see a large architectural structure, every time you see a bridge or a road, think about all that rebar that's going in there. You have to have vanadium in that rebar.
So presumably all of the sort of infrastructure spending that we're seeing from stimulative governments around the world would be helpful for that. Who are the biggest buyers of vanadium, who consume the most to use for rebar, et cetera?
It would be the steel companies. All the major steel companies buy the material, and almost all of them have rebar manufacturing facilities somewhere in the world. So, you know, I probably shouldn't mention names. But in terms
of at the end of the chain, the demand, is it China that it goes to, or where is most of the construction? It's going worldwide.
Yeah, and if you take a look at because I watch construction statistics, I watch rebar statistics, and then of course I watch vanadium statistics, because they all flow together. And if you look at construction statistics, the worldwide growth in construction is actually quite phenomenal. And this is in the South African, South American, Chinese, North American, the European Union, Russia. Construction is really doing quite well. And just kind of think about population, because as the population increases, we need more infrastructure, we need more houses, we need more offices.
So just very quickly, who are your big competitors? Who do you consider your biggest competition?
You know, I'm going to tell you nobody, because we have the lowest cost production in the world.
You must have
we have the highest quality.
I'm going to look them up on the Bloomberg terminal when this is over.
The competitors are going to be Glencore has a facility in South Africa, Evraz has a facility in Russia, and then there's 8 different Chinese companies that that produce vanadium. So we know who our competitors are. We like where we stand compared to our competitors.
Mark Smith, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Mark Smith is CEO and President of Largo Resources.